Okay, guys, welcome back. Another podcast here. We coming off of a workshop weekend. Ben, are we caught up on podcasts being posted? Do you have any that are recorded already that are going to go out before this one?
No.
So this is the freshest one. So last week the last week and a half or 2 weeks, we did record. Well, it was probably about 2 weeks ago. We recorded quite a few podcasts right before the holiday, right before it went for Memorial Day, and then we haven't really recorded any since then. So Ben's been trickling them out slowly. Those have been recorded. He's going to put this one out, I bet, pretty quickly. So you're probably, depending on when you're listening to it, today is Wednesday, so he'll probably drop it pretty quick. We just had a workshop this past weekend. It was a fantastic workshop. They always are. I think this one was special for a lot of reasons. It was nice to get back to doing stuff normal. For us, workshops are quite normal in the spring, and we missed that. We didn't have one because they were canceled, obviously, with a global pandemic. So we are back in action. The June workshop was a tremendous success, in my opinion, for lots of reasons. First off, it was the biggest workshop we've ever had. We ended up with, we had 4 people drop for various reasons, and a couple of them were COVID related. Not that they got COVID or anything, but like one guy had a person at his work had it or whatever. So he said, you know what, I'm supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days or whatever, and it was, and so he couldn't make it. So he made a real responsible decision, and I appreciated it. He would have been on his, I think it would have been his 3rd workshop total. I think he's been to 2 prior. And he wanted to actually signed up for the Next Steps workshop, and he bumped to the foundation, and then he bumped to the other foundation. So we had 3 people here that had been to prior workshops. They took away, and I messaged with several of them after, they took away, I think, a lot more at a second workshop than the first. It's the exact same workshop. It's the foundation workshop. But I think I have to believe that their takeaway was stronger and greater because, A, you have less things to think about as far as uncertainty and nervousness and awkwardness and all that stuff. You can really focus on soaking in more information, in my opinion. Also, because you already have a very, very good understanding of a lot of the things that are coming. So I do think you feel more comfortable, but you already have like a way head start. So it'd be like going into, taking a class and it's a foreign language and you have zero experience with the language. You've never done it before. You've never heard anyone talk it before. So you're like literally starting to learn it from kind of the ground up, or you took a class or 2 on it, but this is like more intense. This is, there's a difference. So the one who has the little bit of experience with it prior probably accelerates quicker and settles in quicker, knowing kind of what to look for and kind of knowing some of those basics. So I think that's part of the reason that folks feel more comfortable and get more out of them. But I also think as a whole, the entire group came in further advanced than any other group we've ever had. And I will sound like this broken record, and so the people that were at our last workshop are probably going, no, you said that about our group. You must say it about every group. No, I say it about every group that it's true. And last group, the one prior to this, not this last weekend's, but the one last spring, and I think it was in June as well. It was our last one was in the very first part of June. That group was the furthest group along that we had come through to that point. This group, I think, was a little bit further. And I don't think it's coincidence. I think most people agreed. It ended up like, so there was a lot of there were some families and there were some people that had multiple people with them, groups. So total people was close to 30. Working in the thing, but we ended up with dogs. We had 16 that were like attendees, and then some of our kids would join in with dogs. So at one point we did a walk up that had like 19 dogs, and some of the people that came, like there was brothers that came. Well, they brought one dog. Well, one of the brothers used some of the group leaders' dogs at times. So there was a walk-up that we were pushing 20 dogs. And some people are going to go, that's not very many. That's a ton for us. And so we are very careful to make sure that we don't want to go too many people too big, because it's a very intimate thing. We really want to make sure that everyone gets the attention that they need. Everyone is individual. All dogs are individual. So I'm getting into more of a workshop podcast. I wasn't planning on this being a workshop podcast, but maybe it will be. But anyway, so the group came in and they were extremely far advanced. And one of the reasons we talked about that, one of the reasons that they believed it and I believe it wholeheartedly, is because of stuff like this, the podcast, because of our YouTube stuff. Ben has done a really good job of us utilizing our YouTube platform as a real big knowledge share area. I mean, there's just, I guess I didn't even realize it sometimes until I take a look at it myself and I try to find something on there, because I go, holy, we got a lot of stuff on here. Lots of playlists, lots of series, lots of unique little one-hitter type things, just a ton of information. And I found that of the 20, well, there's close to 30 people. So I don't even know how many were sitting there in the classroom part in the beginning, but I asked everybody to raise their hand if they're following our stuff. And I think there was one person not following us on social media. And it's because he doesn't have social media. Cody. I don't think he had. So otherwise, yeah, I mean, some of the people that were here knew the videos better than I did, because I've done them so long ago and they had watched them more recently. So it was really interesting to see the impacts that this is having. So it was real rewarding also, and it was real reassuring. I should continue to do it, because what it told me was we're helping people prepare better. I got to see it personally because of the workshop. But for every person that wanted to come to the workshop, there were a lot of people I think I got messages from that said, man, I'd really like to come. It's just you're so far away. And I got to throw this out there: 7 different states that we had. That was the most states we've ever had here. So there were 7 different states. The longest drive went to Rachel. She was 27 hours. Then it was probably New Jersey. Yeah. And that was like 19 or something. Yeah. We had some 13s. We had, somewhere Midwest, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan. We had all those states that touch Wisconsin. We had some Wisconsin folks. We had 3 or 4 different groups from Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. So it was quite spread out. And so it was real interesting. And from that perspective, it was interesting because it was everything from families to single individuals. And then there was groups of buddies that came. There were brothers that came. There were couples that came. It was just a real wide variety, and it was interesting because it created a lot of diversity. And so I will get into this because I think it's something that I'm learning, that if I don't accept the idea that there are issues out there, nothing will happen about them. And just pretending that they're not there isn't a fix. And so, there's obviously, COVID was a big thing. We did talk about COVID a little bit, not a ton, but more how it impacted us with our training and stuff. One of the things about workshops is workshops are powerful because we get a lot of dog stuff out of it. But I also think that a lot of that dog stuff transfers and crosses over lines of life stuff as well, relationship stuff as well, family, friends, faith stuff as well. And to me, that is the makeup of a person. So I like to try to use dogs to help with dog stuff. I also like to use dogs to help me with other stuff, understanding, comprehending, dealing with, because I do think a dog is a really powerful tool beyond just going in the field and hunting with. They're incredible animals. And so we referenced a book that a good friend of mine, Craig Korpf, gave me called He Loved the Dog. We read a few things out of there throughout the weekend that was new. We touched on, and so circling back to the idea of we had quite a diverse group, and that can be really good. So I think the cultural differences are really good to expose ourselves to. And so getting back to how does it relate to today's day and age? Well, obviously today's day and age, there's a lot of things going on right now, above and beyond the COVID, inequality type stuff. Racism is the big one right now that we're talking about. But I look at it bigger than race. I look at it as just being nice or not being nice. Like, I think it's bigger, but it's also much simpler. Being good to people. It would fix a lot of things. And pretending and being defensive and making excuses and but this, but that, but this, to me, that is a really good way to pretend there's not a problem. I admit there's a problem. I think there's a huge problem with the obvious. There's inequality, there's injustice, there's a lot of things that happen out there that just shouldn't. It's wrong. Okay, right or wrong, it's black and white. It's right or wrong. And when I say black and white, I don't mean it like literally, but I guess you could take it that way too for today's situations. But it's much deeper than just black and white. But it's right or it's wrong. And if you come up with a little enough excuses to say, well, what about this and this too and that, two wrongs don't make rights. That's a real simple thing that my mom used to tell me all the time, because I would explain to her why I would do something. Because, well, they did this. My mom would always say, well, two wrongs don't make a right. So I know it's an uncomfortable and it's an awkward conversation. I lost more Instagram followers than I've ever lost before last week, because I posted a picture that was black, just a black screen, and that offended people. It created people sending me comments and making messages, sending me messages, and I really offended people, and I let them down, and it disappointed them. Well, I'll tell you what, we're not here for strictly entertainment. And so if you're not entertained by it, the easy answer is you just scroll by. Like, you can do that. And I respect that. I don't have a problem with it. I respect everybody's opinion. But I also think I'm not doing it, like, change doesn't happen without effort. And I think there needs to be a change. Okay? So I do believe that. Now, I also think a lot of people that were upset with me and didn't like, unliked us or whatever, unfollowed us and all that stuff, I was hurt by it, not because I lost followers. I was hurt by it because I thought, man, there really is an issue. It was a real reminder of me. There is a big problem out here in our world right now. And so one of the things that I think, me saying that was simply me saying, I admit there's problems. And I think a lot of the folks that were upset with me think they knew what I meant by it. And if you think you know what everybody else means, you're making some big assumptions that are not yours to make. Okay, so like, I support police. I think it's a very, very small percentage that we have a problem with. I think it's also a very, very small percentage of people that we have a problem with. So we see all these memes, we see all this stuff, the circles. I saw this one that a lot of people posted it, and I don't get real political. You look through our pages, you're not going to see a lot of political things from me. I bet you some people assume a lot of people assume and guess and think they know how I vote. You don't know how I vote. And I don't know that I want to share with you how I vote. I don't really care. Now, I'm not a supporter of a party. I'm a supporter of issues. Like, I feel really strongly about certain issues. That helps me understand and dictates how I vote. Okay? I think you should vote. I think you should vote based on your beliefs, not mine. And I don't vote on other people's beliefs. But I was really inspired. My wife and I talked about this a little bit. I normally would shy away from pretty much everything political when it comes to social media, but I felt like this was a big enough thing, and the reason is because of three people. My wife told me a story about a guy that she knows at a gym. He's a black guy. He shared with her some stories of how he felt just in general, in basic, like in public. Okay, and I'm not going to get into the details of it, but like he didn't feel safe in a lot of places. He felt, he had some emotions that I don't ever have to deal with, and so I that kind of made me think. I listened to a podcast. And it wasn't a podcast. It was a story on Project Upland. Project Upland shared the story with this guy. I think his name is Darrell, but I don't know, it was Smith, maybe Darrell something. I listened to him. And at first I was like, man, I don't know if this is this thing that should be posted on Project Upland. And so did a lot of other people, because they made a lot of comments about it. It created quite a little stir. And I thought that for a second, but then I thought, I'm going to listen to it. So I listened to it, and then I realized, man, if I hadn't listened to that, I wouldn't realize and recognize how I don't have to deal with certain things that other people do. That was eye-opening. And then Jonathan Toews, he's a hockey player, he made a statement, and I saw that, and I went, where is that coming from Jonathan Toews, a white Canadian hockey player, making a statement? And so then I realized, you know what? We talk about influencers, and we talk about people that impact things and other people around them. I'm not going to influence people the way Jonathan Toews does. He influenced me. I'm not going to influence people the way Darrell does. He influenced me. I'm not going to influence people. Well, maybe not, but I don't even know who the guy was that my wife told the story about. But that influenced me. So I think the reality is we're all influencers. So I felt a little bit of a need to say, you know what? I think I am going to share that I've got some concerns with what's going on out there. And I don't believe anything happens without action. Nothing will change if there is no action. And so I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I don't care if you don't. I'm not here to convince you. I am here to, like, when I say everyone's an influencer, we talked about influencers this weekend at the workshop, and it came up in a couple different times about different things. And I was very quick to remind every person that was talking about it that they are an influencer. I had a family this weekend with 2 little blonde-haired girls. I mean, they look like Elsa. And from, what's that? Frozen. I mean, these little girls could have been Elsa in the movie Frozen. And I looked at their parents and I said, you guys are influencers. Big time. There's 2 of them right there that you're influencing heavy. I'm an influencer. And it wasn't so much from a social media standpoint. It was, I got a 14-month-old little girl, and I've got a 10-year-old daughter, and I've got an 18-year-old son. And I've got some really fine young men that work with us. And I go, I'm directly influencing them. And it can be good, it can be bad. Every one of us, if we stop looking at pointing fingers and seeing what the other influencers are doing, and we realize we're all influencers, if we all make an effort to influence something positively around us, I realize it's very little. I'm not going to change the world, but if I can change it a little bit, and then the person I changes it a little bit, little things add up quickly. So how does this connect back to dogs? Well, what do I talk about with dogs? I talk about little things add up quickly. I don't train dogs overnight. We don't change things overnight. We don't make dramatic changes. We make lots of tiny little changes. Some are good, some are bad. We adjust accordingly. But after, you watch Bella be good, I am studying it because I'm writing another article for Gundog on it right now, and I'm looking back and going, man, that was only a couple months ago. Oh, hell, a couple months ago, there was snow on the ground here. You look out right now and it's really green, and it's humid, and it's getting hot, and it's totally summer, and there's birds are having chicks, and it's literally a totally different world than when I'm watching when I'm posting the videos right now for Bella. I guess I'm posting the promos. You're probably on YouTube. Ben's way ahead of me. It's 6 or 7 episodes, so he's weeks in front of me from posting on social media. But social media, I posted a promo today, and there is snow, significant snow. We're shed hunting in it, and I'm thinking, we did the shed rally thing for Whitetail Properties, and I'm going, man, that was like last year. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, no, it was 2.5 months ago. It seems like forever ago. It wasn't. So what happened in between here and there? Lots of little things. But if you looked at it daily, I'm frustrated right now because I'm going, man, we're just not making the progress I want to make with Bella. But I'm also looking back and going, just be patient. because lots of little things are going to add up very quickly, and all of a sudden we're going to be in business. So, the idea of trying to change the world, no, I'm not trying to change the world by making a post on our Instagram that's a black screen. First off, there's no action to it. It's merely me saying, you know what? I am taking a stand to say, I think there is shit out there that sucks. I think there's a lot of things that are wrong. I admit it. I'm not going to say, well, I don't, but this. What about this? But what about that? No, I don't need an excuse or a reason to justify whatever happens. I realize there's a lot of flaws. And what can I do to change? What can I do to help? That's what and I'm so, I wasn't hardly on social media this weekend. We did the workshop and I don't think I made a post. Mm-hmm. Did we? We didn't make a post on either of our pages. We might have made a few stories. I didn't do them. Steph filmed a couple. But I was off of social media for like 3 days because of the workshop. The workshops are super intense. And I didn't have the time and the effort to do it. But I also realized after getting back into Monday and Tuesday and being on social media, it's disheartening a bit. But it is if I allow it to get to me. It is if I allow it to affect me. And I think that's the nice part about it is, you don't have to let it affect you either. Instead of me looking at it, trying to consume and listen to it, and then realize who posted, and then look at who posted it, and trying to like draw connections and make. I just used my thumb and I scrolled it up. Yeah, That's not what I want to see right now. I kept going until I saw a picture of a brook trout, because right now I'm really thinking about going fishing. So again, I don't want to make light of the situation. I don't want to get super heavy and deep on you guys. I just want you to understand where we're at and where I'm at personally. Because the DogBone stuff, the DogBone Instagram is like it is the only, we use Hodag. We've got the Hodag licking stick, and that's way more business. Like that's pretty much deer stuff. So, you see pictures of my family on my Instagram page, and I call it my Instagram page, but it's our DogBone one. So, but it was the workshop, we talked about that. Not like all weekend, because that's not what people came for. But there was a lot of opportunity to relate and connect the dogs to try to make it not just about dogs, but more about, always have the idea of improving with the dogs, but there was a lot of opportunities to see where the dogs actually helped us in other aspects of our lives. And it didn't always have to be deep. I mean, some people talked about doing therapy dog stuff, so we talked about that. You want to have a rewarding feeling? Go to a school with kids that are cognitively disabled, and watch them smile and light up. Watch kids that have autism show emotion that they don't show any other time. We've seen it. We did it with our dogs. It's awesome. It's great. It's really rewarding. Go to an old folks home and let them pet your dog. Nicole, one of the people that was at the workshop this weekend, she said they are using their dog, and they've been to, I don't know how many Nicole and Thomas have been to. I bet you they've been to 6 or 7 workshops, and I'm not exaggerating. But they're using some of their dogs in situations. They go to an old folks home and they use it as a therapy dog. And one of the things she said, and she was being serious, and I thought it was hilarious, not like picking on anybody or anything, but one of the things she said was, when the dogs retrieve, for me, I have a drop command. I say dead. And she said, it gets kind of frowned upon when you say dead at the old folks home. I get it. So, Chris Smith, one of our buddies and handlers and helps us with the workshops, he uses a word name, he says pasty. He's from the UP, he's from Upper Michigan. So he uses the word pasty for the dog to drop. One of the persons said, there was another one that Wyatt had in his group, they had a different word. Give maybe? So, no, thank you. Oh, yeah. He said, Rhett says thank you, tells his dog thank you. That's his drop command. I think that's, so we talk dog stuff, but then we realize there's so many other applications for the stuff we're talking about. And so I started this podcast out. It was not about the workshop. We started talking about the workshop. We're going to end it on the workshop. It was great. It was fantastic. It was energizing. I have new goals and aspirations for myself and the dogs. I'm better for it. I learned quite a bit this weekend. So that's it. That's another podcast. We're gonna crank out another one here because I brought one up here, but I was gonna answer for a guy. It's a little bit more of so Ben will have another one out here for you soon. This one is a question that just came in today. I have tons to catch up on, so if you're waiting on an answer, you'll get one. It's just coming. But this one came in today, and I'm gonna answer it because I'm gonna send the guy a message back and say I answered it in a podcast because it's a little deeper and easier for me to get more into it. So thank you guys. Thanks for the support. Take it for whatever you want to take it for, but I have occasionally challenged people before, and challenge you to be consistent, challenge you to work in your time, and challenge you for this, challenge you for that. I'm going to challenge you to be nice. Okay, just be nice. If I'm not looking to change your mind on any of your beliefs. I let God do that. God will figure that stuff out. He'll work on your heart. I'm not here to work on your heart. But I think, there's a lot of, I don't look to, someone said this on our YouTube. We had a comment that says, I know you cater to those who don't use shock collars. And this was a guy that does use a collar. And he actually sent me a really nice, polite message. But he said, I know you cater to those who don't use shock collars because that's your style. And one of the things, when I heard that, I thought, I don't want to be catering to anybody. I just want to tell you what I think, what works for me, share as much as I can, and then let you decide. So I did message him. I said, I hope I'm not catering to anybody. Now, I'm not. Here's the thing about that. I'm not looking to change your mind. If you like using a collar and you found a lot of success and you use it responsibly, and I'm not looking to change your mind. You do what works for you. What I am looking to do is help the person that goes, I don't know if I want to or not, and the reason I don't, or some people say I don't want to, but I don't know how to do it without. That's the person I'm looking to help. I'm not I'm not out there as an advocate to try to change the minds of every person that uses a collar, because I don't have the energy or time or desire to do that. What I am trying to do is help those that are wondering. So I'm not looking to. If you unfriended me, you're probably not listening to the podcast. But if you unfriended me last week because you were upset because of what I posted on our Instagram page, I'm not. If you have dead set beliefs on stuff, I'm not looking to change your mind. Like I said, that's up to you and God. And I have all the confidence in the world. I've got faith in that. I am trying to help someone who's like me, because I wasn't sure how to handle things. I wasn't sure I was processing it, trying to figure stuff out, and trying to figure out what to believe, and trying to figure out where's my thoughts on this. I did have some thoughts until I listened to other people's thoughts. And those thoughts helped to not change my mind, but help me figure things out internally, and ultimately help to steer me in the direction that I choose to go. So if Jonathan Tejas was one of them, okay? Darrell was one of them, and my wife was one of them. Those are just three. Now I saw a lot more stuff than that. Those are three that really stand out in my mind. But I am influenced by stuff around me, and I recognize that if I don't address some of the uncomfortable stuff that I know is there, if I just pretend it's not there, it won't change. And so, did I upset some people? Did I disappoint some people? Did I lose some followers? I sure did. And that's okay. I'm okay with it. So, you guys gotta figure your stuff out. But if I can help, I will. I always try to. So thank you guys for the support. Follow us. Subscribe to this if you're new to it. We got a bunch of them now. So, and if you would leave us a review, that'd be great. That's it. Another podcast in the books.